So thank you for joining me today for the first session of our Olmsted Online workshop series. But my name is Madeline Momot, and I am the digital content manager for Olmsted Online. We are very excited to share this programming with you in collaboration with the Olmsted 200 celebration. As you may know, the bicentennial of Frederick Law Olmsted's birth is on the horizon, and we are inviting everyone to learn more about the many and varied Olmsted landscapes around the country. We are pleased to offer a quick overview of how you can access these great projects through Olmsted Online, brought to you by the National Association for Olmsted Parks. So in today's workshop, we want to share with you the wealth of information that is available, and we want to give you an idea of the overall scope of the website and get you acquainted with the tools and resources that are at your fingertips. So this session is titled Finding Our Olmsted Legacy, and the presentation will be focused on the Explore the Map search function on Olmsted Online. So we've geared this workshop towards a variety of users, from individuals with a general interest in Olmsted to organizations or agencies conducting broader research. So maybe it's your first time visiting, or perhaps you've had a browse in the past and are seeking some clarification. But the goal is that in the next 30 minutes or so, you will feel more comfortable navigating the website. And when Olmsted Online launched, the phrase "Finding Our Olmsted Legacy" was coined for the website slogan. And I think it does a great job at pinpointing our overall mission. The Explore the Map function is a key resource of our website, and it helps in visualizing the extent and breadth of the century of work of the Olmsted firms. So their influence on the design legacy in both public and private landscapes in North America and elsewhere in the world are still felt today. As most of you probably know, Frederick Law Olmsted was a visionary planner. He revolutionized park systems in America. The Olmsted firm made significant contributions to urban planning. They were the first to design and implement connective parkways in the country and prioritized public access for all communities. Olmsted Sr. and his sons, known as the Olmsted brothers, also played important roles in the evolution of city planning. So they influenced commissions and governments by holding leadership positions at the state and national level. So learning about how to use Olmsted Online by means of the Explore the Map resource is where we will primarily focus this first presentation. And then as you become more familiar with the website and what it offers as a discovery platform, we've prepared some additional workshops using other tools provided by the website for continued exploration of the very extensive database of information and links to Olmsted resources, both nationally and locally. And I do want to start by providing a little bit of background information about the founding of Olmsted Online. In 2011, the National Association for Olmsted Parks, also known as the NAOP, partnered with the National Park Service, Frederick Law Olmsted National Historic Site, and Friends of Seattle Olmsted Parks to build a website that would use the geographic capabilities of the internet to provide a platform to discover and explore the Olmsted legacy of projects. So the ultimate aim was to bring together scholarly and archival information related to the Olmsted firm's contribution to our landscape heritage. And then after the initial launch of the website in 2013, continuing content uploads over the past several years have been spearheaded by my colleague Ann Knight and overseen by an NAOP working committee. And the website is an ever-evolving resource as the content for close to 6,000 jobs is built out. But all of the materials that we select for upload are to give individuals and localities the tools to understand, protect, and steward their Olmsted landscape resources. So our objective is for olmstedonline.org to serve as a comprehensive entry point for diving into your own personal Olmsted research. And Olmsted Online has had a pretty clear vision, goal, and purpose from the get-go in order to promote and preserve the continuing Olmsted legacy and to recognize their lasting accomplishments. We want to provide easy access to digital resources that highlight the Olmsted legacy. We want to engage the public and promote interaction with Olmsted landscapes. And we want users to understand their historical context, so appreciate the role that the landscapes play in their own local communities, and then have a sense and be able to see how they've evolved over the past several decades as well. And so now that we have a little bit of context, welcome to the Olmsted Online homepage. This is a landing page with resources and tools to discover projects of the Olmsted firm. And from this homepage, there are multiple avenues to begin your research, but we're just going to be focusing on the Explore the Map tool today. And there are 2 entry points. So the first one is in the top banner, where you see that red dot appear. And then the second one is on the side banner, where it reads Explore the Map. And then when you click and enter Explore the Map, you will see this image. The map is a visual representation of the Olmsted firm's work, and there are approximately 5,700 map dots, each representing an individual job number. So when you're toggling between the zoom in and zoom out tool, the green dots are going to recalibrate and more jobs will become visible. And then to see all of the dots in an area, if you are zooming in, you'll need to zoom in all the way to make sure that there are no dots overlapped or hidden. And even from this zoomed out vantage, you can see that there are a lot of green dots. And this mapping of the jobs owes a great level of gratitude to National Park Service archivist Anthony Reed, as he worked over many years with a vast collection of Olmsted documents at the Frederick Law Olmsted National Historic Site. And so as we continue to collect information for jobs, we are fine-tuning the location of dots if necessary. But another great feature of the map is that you're able to view it from an aerial vantage as well. So if you were to click in the upper right-hand corner to select aerial, you are then able to actually view it from another vantage as well. And in this presentation, we will be focusing on examples in the US. However, I think it is important to recognize that the Olmsted firm had a global influence. So here we see dots in the United Kingdom and Canada, one in Panama and Venezuela. And that's because the Olmsted firm did consult on several projects internationally. So as you are looking around on the Explore the Map tool, you will see dots appear in places as far away as the Philippines, but again, also in the UK, Canada, Central America, and South America. And before we jump into the how to search instructions, it's important to understand the concept of a job number, because job numbers are key to a successful search. And your first question might be, what is a job? And a job is simply referring to a specific project. So in the late 1800s, which was a while after Frederick Law Olmsted had started his career, each project that the Olmsted firm worked on was assigned an individual number, and we refer to these as job numbers. So on the right-hand side of your screen, you do see 2 pages from the Olmsted job books, and there are 3 volumes of job books held at the Library of Congress. They are handwritten and hold the name and number of jobs as assigned from 1865 to 1971. And these are organized in a very individualized way, and they represent jobs that were completed, as well as jobs that never came to fruition. So some of Frederick Law Olmsted's earlier projects were given numbers at a later date, and thus they're not in the job books. But if you're looking on Explore the Map or Olmsted Online, these job numbers were assigned in the 12,000 range. And then if you look at the image on the lower left in your screen, you'll see we zoomed into 2 jobs. The first one reads 901 Arbor Way, and the one below it reads 902 Arnold Arboretum. But something that is important to note is that all job numbers are displayed as 5 digits on Olmsted Online. So for example, if we were researching the Arnold Arboretum job, the job number would lead with 2 zeros and it would read 00902. And in general, it's usually noted that Frederick Law Olmsted Sr. completed about 500 projects during his career, and that the Olmsted firm as a whole worked on well over 5,000 jobs. So the job books can provide an interesting insight into the naming and sequence of jobs, but they are not the only way to find a job number. And one way to discover the job number for a project is to use the Explore the Map feature on Olmsted Online. So when you are on the Explore the Map page, you can hover your cursor over green dots to identify a project. So as you see in the moving image on your screen, when you select a dot, a box will appear, which allows you to preview job details. And then when you're ready to narrow down your search, you're going to use the filters on the left-hand side of the screen. And here's a closer look at those 4 filter options available to you. So you can search by project name. If you already know what you want to be looking at, this is a great place to start. You can search by location, either city or state. You can search by the 5-digit job number, or you can search by project type, and we'll take a closer look at that now. The project type dropdown has 14 different options. So you can see there's a moving image going down there, but as an example, these include arboretum and gardens, city and regional planning, college and school campuses, exhibitions and fairs, grounds of buildings, private estate and homesteads, subdivisions, and then the one that's probably most commonly used, parks, parkways, and recreation areas. So depending on what you're researching, you can select the category that best fits your needs. But I do want to add that project types were assigned to jobs by Olmsted scholars after the firm closed. So the project type reflects the original intent of the Olmsted plan and not necessarily what the landscape is today if it underwent any kind of reuse. So therefore, as a general suggestion, and in order to maximize your exposure to jobs from the start, I would always recommend starting off with a broader search and then adding on filters one by one, so you're seeing as many jobs as possible that match your interest. And looking at our first project type example, you will see that we've entered New York, New York into the location filter and hit go. So therefore on the map, we are honed in on New York and we're seeing all green dots in the area that represent a job. And then if we were to filter by project type, and in this case, we've selected parks, parkways, and recreation areas, the jobs that meet our criteria are now in red. And zooming in, of course, will reveal even more jobs where there are dots overlapping. But what this also means is that the remaining green dots you see on the screen become inactive and can no longer be clicked on because they don't match our criteria. And for our next example, let's search just by location. So let's say you wanted to view all of the jobs in the Seattle area. As you see in the moving image, you would just enter Seattle into the location bar, click enter, and then all of the jobs in the Seattle area will appear as a green dot. And when you select a dot, you will be able to see the job preview box. So in this example, we're looking at Seattle Park Systems. And now we'll take a closer look at that highlighted section. So the job preview box is where you will first be able to see the job number listed. So right away, we see the location, that 5-digit job number, and the job type. And then next on the right-hand side, it shows a key image of the landscape when available. And then below we see an area for a description. And if you click on the drop-down arrow, a short paragraph about the landscape may be available if it's a job that we've already populated information for. And then lastly, in that highlighted section, we see the Learn More button, and this redirects you to the project details page. So the preview box that you see is a succinct overview of a job, but it's ultimately designed to lead you into the project details page, which is really the heart of Olmsted Online, the heart of the database, and where you will find the core content of a job. And we'll go ahead and look at that now. So the project details page is where you have access to the data content of Olmsted Online for each job, including, of course, that all-important job number. So it provides access to plans, images, documents, and external links. And information for these pages is added as more research is done and as more resources become available. So we'll just take a quick moment to orient ourselves with this page. But at the top, we again see those key details and the job number. And then we see the mapped location of the job in that right-hand corner. And then we again see the key image depicting the Olmsted landscape. And then on the right-hand side, we see the external links. So the first link is called Research Instructions and Links. And this is going to take you to the Glossary and Links page on Olmsted Online and provide instructions on how to access archival information. And then the one below that reads Olmsted Archives, digital collection courtesy of the National Park Service, Frederick Law Olmsted National Historic Site. And this is where you can go to view digitized plans and historic photos. And then the section below that is called Other Digital Collections. And this is where we would put any additional links that we have to either local or national archival libraries. In this case, it's the Washington State Digital Archives, as well as the Seattle Municipal Archives. And then at the very bottom, we have the link to the Cultural Landscape Foundation What's Out There page. So this is a searchable database which spotlights the landscape. We currently have a little over 200 links to the Cultural Landscape Foundation, and we continue to add them as new ones are created. But these links mostly spotlight parks, parkways, and squares. And then looking at the bottom of your screen, the section that you see highlighted is where most of the uploaded content lives for a job. So first we see the synopsis, and then if you click on the More button, you will be able to see the full write-up for a job. So this is a brief description intended to provide introductory information and general background about a job. And then below that synopsis, we see 3 tabs, and this allows you to view plans, documents, and images for a job. So let's first talk about plans. Here's a sample portion of the dropdown you would see if you clicked on plans. It provides a list of the Olmsted Archives extant plans for a job. So if you look closely, you see that there's a small number in parentheses. In this case, it's 81. So you know that there are 81 existing plans. However, some plans are digitized and available through the Flickr link, and some are not. So the ones that are not online would need to be requested from the Olmsted Archives located at Fairstead, which is the Frederick Law Olmsted National Historic Site. And then now looking at documents, we see a selection of correspondence, tours, scholarly writings, and National Register nomination forms. So if you were to read the first title in that sample, we see it reads LOC underscore the job number, the date, and then underscore OAR-B. So what that's telling me is that it comes from the Library of Congress and that this is an Olmsted Associate Records collection and that it's the B file. So those are all things you will learn, and as you continue to come to our workshops, you'll become more familiar with that. But just important to know, all of the relevant Library of Congress OAR-B, which means Olmsted Associate Record B files, job correspondence files have been uploaded for jobs. So as you visit different project details pages, this is something that you might see under documents quite often. And you will also see a small note that reads, see research instructions and links in the sidebar for additional information. And the purpose of the research instructions and links is not only to direct you to the additional digitized correspondence at the Library of Congress, but also to let you know that there are other records held at the Olmsted archives. And lastly, let's look at images. You will see a list of image titles giving you a clue as to what the photo will depict when you select one to look at. And it's a collection of historic and our present day photos. But continuing our use of Explore the Map, now let's practice another search, but this time using the project name search filter. So here we've entered the name Humboldt Park into the search bar. And then if you click either go or enter, it will take you directly to the job since it is the only job that matches our criteria, and it will appear as a red dot. And then if we select the red dot, the job preview box will appear. And again, let's click on Learn More to visit the project details page. So now we're back at the project details page for the selected job. And I want to point out a few additional things you may come across and give you a glimpse of what materials you could find for your research. So first we have a section called alternate name, and this lists any secondary or previous names of the landscape. So in this case, if you were to search the parade or Martin Luther King Jr. Park on Explore the Map, it would still take you to Humboldt Park because all of the names as they are added for a job are connected via the job number in our system. And then on the right-hand side, if you clicked into the Olmsted Archives link, this is what you would find. So in this case, it links to a folder of all of the plans from the Olmsted Archives for the Humboldt Park job that have been digitized and mounted on their Flickr site. But for a listing of the extent plans in the Olmsted Archives, you can click on the plans tab line as well and visit the website associated with the Frederick Law Olmsted National Historic Site. But this comparative research will give you a better idea of what may not yet be digitally available. And then this is an example of a document that has been uploaded and is available to view. It's the National Register nomination form for Humboldt Park, and we do have several nomination forms uploaded on Olmsted Online. And then at the bottom of the page, here is a look at the Cultural Landscape Foundation What's Out There page. So it includes a write-up about the landscape, images, and then usually has a link to the park website. And now we're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about images. We are in the process of building our gallery of images to help researchers visualize a job. But in addition to finding images for a job through the project details page, you can access the full gallery on Olmsted Online. So by selecting it in the top banner, noted here with a red dot, if you click on gallery, all of the photos on Olmsted Online will appear in an item view. So our images are sourced from the Olmsted Archives and the National Park Service. Some of them come from individual photographers. If we ever have anyone on our team visiting a park, sometimes they'll take photos for us. And then we do also make direct requests to parks and historical centers. But I do also want to use this chance to share that we do have a new submission form on the NAOP website where you can submit your photos of Olmsted landscapes with the chance or possibility of them appearing on either the NAOP website or Olmsted Online. We always appreciate receiving images, so please do check out that link if you have any photos that you would like to share with us. And our criteria for image selection is quite broad because we want to have a variety of photos depicting the landscape. But of course, we want it to show Olmsted designs. We want it to reveal the intent of Olmsted plans, but they can be either present day or historic photos. But let's say you were ready to find a specific photo and start that search. You would just go to the left-hand side of the screen and use the two search functions. So you can search either by job number or you can search by keyword. And there is a list of 10 cultural landscape terms. They're listed here, but some of them are vista, vegetation, boulevard, structure, building. So you can enter any of these 10, and any photos that include one of those matching features will appear. So for example, you can first search by job number. You would just enter that 5-digit job number into the first search bar, and then all images connected to that job will appear. And alternatively, you can search more broadly by keyword. So in this example, we've entered building into the search bar and clicked search or go, and then all of the photos with the building and with that keyword in the photo description will appear. And once you select a photo, you will be taken to the image details page. So first we see the image title up at the top, and then we see the description. So this is giving context of the photo. The keyword terms will be listed there, as well as any crucial archival details. And then we see the source name, which is abbreviated. In this example, it's the Palos Verdes Library District, PVLD. And then at the bottom, we have the external link. So you could visit the external link for full archival information, or if you had any questions about use instructions. And another really great feature we have on Olmsted Online is the timeline. So if you are not really familiar with significant projects of the Olmsted firm, this is a good place to get a snapshot. You can access the timeline also from the top banner where that red dot appears. And it begins in 1822 on the date of Frederick Law Olmsted's birth, and it's categorized into 3 columns. So the first column signifies milestones within the Olmsted firm. The second column highlights major Olmsted projects. And then the third one details corresponding events in history. And looking at the timeline, I think it's important to emphasize how multi-layered the Olmsted legacy is and recognize the generational component of the firm. The timeline shows Frederick Law Olmsted Sr.'s first project, which was, of course, the design of Central Park in 1859 with his partner, Calvert Vaux. But then you can scroll down to 1898 and see when his sons, John Charles Olmsted and Frederick Law Olmsted Jr., led the firm under the name the Olmsted Brothers. And then the timeline ends in 1979 when the firm, which was then called the Olmsted Associates, closed down. And that's also when the office and the former residence were officially named a National Historic Site. And so lastly, we are going to discuss the frequently asked questions and glossary and links page. So to access this page, you select the final tab on the top banner, again noted here with the red dot, and then a drop down will appear. So looking first at frequently asked questions, we see that there's a total of 8 questions on that page. So some of the first ones provide just really general information. So what is Olmsted Online? What is the NAOP? How is the project funded? There's a question, do I need permission to download documents? And for example, for publishing on the internet or commercial use, you will need permission from the copyright owner. We share information where the original Olmsted documents are located, where you can find more digital scans, what keywords can be used in a search. We touched on that earlier in the presentation. And then number 8 is, how do I research an Olmsted project? So this is a great visual guide, but we also have really detailed written out instructions. So if you needed more guidance, that would be a great place to visit as well. And then on the glossary and links page, there are 10 subsections offering written information and external links. So number 1 is titled job number. That's where we have links to the 3 job volumes held at the Library of Congress. Number 2, research instructions and links. That's where we, give you access to outside information as well. Number 7, project types. So we saw that in the drop down earlier, but if you wanted to read more about those categories, you could visit there. And then number 9 is titled The Papers of Frederick Law Olmsted Volumes. And the Papers of Frederick Law Olmsted is a series of 12 publications, which was an important scholarly project spanning more than 40 years. So the final volume was completed in 2020 with the well-known Olmsted scholar Charlie Beveridge as series editor. And it's essentially annotated correspondence, but each volume has a really great introduction that gives you an idea of the major projects that the Olmsted firm worked on over a period of time. But 8 of the 12 volumes of the Papers of Frederick Law Olmsted have been digitized, and they are currently available and searchable at the Hathi Trust Digital Library. And so this is where you can visit on Olmsted Online to access those links. But in addition, we are pleased to announce that 10 of the volumes will also be digitally available through the University of Virginia Rotunda imprint early in 2022. So please do keep your eyes peeled for that news next year. But just looking at an example, if you were to click on number 2, you will see a note stating, when researching jobs, be sure to check for other correspondence, which will need to be identified individually via the external tools and resources linked below. So that's exactly what we do. We've provided the links below to facilitate additional research beyond what is provided on Olmsted Online. In particular, guiding you to the resources at the National Park Service, Olmsted Archives, and the Library of Congress. And in our subsequent workshops, we will be going into more detail about how to do these advanced searches. But on a closing note, while your research might have a very specific purpose, the process can be enjoyable and lead to interesting, unexpected, and sometimes even entertaining discoveries. So as an example, reading through the correspondence located at the Library of Congress can give you insights into personalities, office dynamics, and even small dramas surrounding a job. So I'll just share a few interesting examples that I've come across. So this is a quote by Frederick Law Olmsted, written in 1864, and he is discussing his visit to Yosemite. And he wrote, "Too wonderful to be believed seems a glorious vision, allegorical at this season ethereal and translucent, the awfulness of the chasm forgotten in the tender beauty with which it is clothed." So Frederick Law Olmsted Sr. seemed to have a way with words. So as you're reading through his correspondence and reports, you'll often be treated to beautiful passages such as this one. And then this is two quotes from John Charles Olmsted in his report to the Seattle and Portland Board of Park Commissioners. The first one reads, in designing a system of parks and parkways, the primary aim should be to secure and preserve for the use of the people as much as possible of these advantages of water and mountain views and of woodlands, well distributed and conveniently located. And then he continues, a connected system of parks and parkways is manifestly far more complete and useful than a series of isolated parks. So even in just these two sentences, it gives us an idea of the overall ethos of the Olmsted firm and lets us know exactly what they were trying to accomplish when approaching the design of a park or a park system. And then lastly, this is a quote from Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. in 1903. And he was, replying to a previous letter. And he wrote, the question which you ask in your letter of the 19th is rather embarrassing. I do not wish to seem uncommunicative or ungracious. If a solution of the problem were perfectly obvious, my advice would hardly be needed. So this one I think is rather funny because he's a little bit snarky in his reply. But I think it just goes to show that, he knew his worth and the value that the firm was bringing to these projects. But there is just a lot of inspiring, useful, and even fun information to find through Olmsted Online. So we hope it will prove helpful in your quest to discover more about our Olmsted legacy. And I would now like to formally invite you all to attend our second session titled Advanced Search. It builds upon what we've learned here today as we explore more of the offerings of Olmsted Online. So thank you for listening. I hope you have a better understanding of how to use Olmsted Online and feel, excited, eager, ready to start your own research. At the bottom of the screen is the Olmsted Online web address, so olmstedonline.org, and then my email, which is naopolmstedonline@gmail.com. So you can send me an email if you have any further questions or if you wish to help contribute information for the website. But again, please feel free to send me an email if you think of anything after this presentation. And the video and the recording will also be available on the Olmsted 200 YouTube channel. But thank you so much for joining me and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.